Hello there, and welcome to the Process of Becoming podcast. I am Sibotle Boy, and welcome to yet another episode. Seasonal greetings to my community. It is Dezembaaa, which basically means it is summer in South Africa. It is a beautiful time of the year where South Africans are on holiday, where we are exploring. It is summer and we are just having a nice time. And in this episode, I am actually just reflecting on the survival of South African Dezembaaa, because I was actually thinking of this from last month as I was planning my December holidays as to how am I going to be surviving December in South Africa, because it's such a crazy time of the year. This will be my last episode um, for December. Then I'll just be taking a break for like 2 weeks, and then we will be back on the second week of January. Because I am at home. As you can see, the studio is also different, so I won't be able to shoot. Even shooting this specific episode has been such a hassle because the house is full and there's so much noise happening around. So I was thinking of this, and I was just thinking that, um, you know, for the we are following the African spiritual calendar, which means that our year started in August. That's when our new year started. So 2025 African spiritual calendar started on the 1st of August. And basically December for the people that are following the Gregorian calendar, it's like the one time of the year where it's like saying goodbye to the year and moving into the new year. So there's like a lot of energy of finishing up, wrapping up the year. Whereas on our side, it's really just another month. And I think, and also on the 31st of December, I will probably be sleeping. The 1st of January will really just be another month. I think on my side, the 1st of January is quite special because it is the 6th month of 2025 African spiritual calendar, of which I use the month as a month of reflection. So like going through my goals for 2025 and then just like reflecting on how far I am, how this year has been, how the year has been so far, how I've been handling things, and then also what's my goal for like my next 6 months plan to wrap up 2025 African spiritual calendar. So we understand why the hustle and bustle around December is the fact that on the Gregorian calendar, it is the end of the year. And so everyone is excited, everyone is bummed up. And so I was just thinking to myself, like, the people that are listening and watching on my podcast are the people that are embarking on their own spiritual growth and embarking on their own spiritual journey to become the best version of themselves. And like you work through yourself through the course of all these months, and you've putting in the work, doing the uncomfortable work. But it's like there comes this time of the month, which is December, where we just let loose and we throw that all out of the window. We need to um, make a habit of questioning all our decisions, and we need to make a habit of finding meaning behind our actions. Because if we don't, then we start falling into the trends. We start being a part of meaningless trends that are demeaning to women, or like using jargon that has no meaning whatsoever, right? And so the more we question ourselves and question and find meaning to our actions, we also learn more about who we are, and we find like, why do I do what I do, right? Like, why am I doing what I'm doing? So it's like behind every action, we need to always find meaning as to why am I doing what I'm doing, right? And also, we are hoping that as we journey on the spiritual growth, like we are finding spiritual balance, like finding the balance between I am focusing on my spiritual growth, spiritual fulfillment, while at the same time I'm living in the moment. I'm doing the things that I like, doing the things that I love. If we are constantly striving for that balance, then December stops being this month where, because if you're living an imbalanced life where you're just like focusing on working hard on your spiritual growth and you're neglecting doing the things that you love, neglecting your family, doing the things that bring you joy, then December becomes this month where you are trying to fit in a year's fun into like 3 weeks. And then that's when we start making decisions that are not good for us because we're trying to use this small time of a month to fit in everything else that we were supposed to do during the course of the year. But if we are constantly trying to find the balance between that, and I feel like that's something that I've been really intentional about for 2025 African spiritual calendar since August, like trying to find that balance between hard work while also doing the things that I love and using my weekends to do the things that I love that fulfill me. So that when a time like this comes, it doesn't become a time where I'm extreme because I'm trying to fit in everything else that I couldn't do in the rest of the year. Yeah, if we're doing that and we're finding this balance, then this month stops being that. Of course, we're not going to be party poopers and say that December is not a special month. Like it is. December is a time of the month, is a time of the month where companies are closing down. Um, and companies are closing down, which means that as a family, it's a time of the month where we're able to come together. We're able to, especially people that are living in big cities, to then come away from those big cities and go to our homelands. It's a time of the month where most people are able to take leave, so we're able to come together as a family. It's a time of the month where it's summer. It's a beautiful time. I love summer. It's a time of the month where I enjoy summer. I love summer. I love the burst of color. Look at my nails. I feel like it's the one month where I also feel bold, like bold colors on my hair. I love wearing summer clothes. I love the feel of the light fabric on my skin when it comes to summer clothes. I love the sun. I love the sea. It's the time for summer. It's the time for bloom, for freshness, for breeze, right? So we can't run away from that it is a special month because of that. But outside of that, December is really just another month. It's really just another month. And so, to my guide for surviving December, I broke it down into 2 steps for me, right? Where, first of all, it's setting up a goal for December. Like, what is my end goal for this December? And all these questions I've had to question myself before being around other people. So I did this beginning of December, end of November, as I was planning for my December. But you can also start now. Like, what is my goal for December? Having a goal, I know you're thinking, why do I need a goal for December? Remember, this will serve as your guiding compass towards surviving South African December, right? Because it gets crazy. It's a wave of craziness where you'll start overspending, making terrible decisions. By the time January comes, we call it January because now you're worried because you made the worst decision, and we're trying to avoid that. So it's first like, what is my goal? So whether it is spending time with family, whether it is traveling more, whether it is being adventurous, trying out new things, whether it is resting, whether it is catching up with friends, whether it is reading a book, whatever it is, but you need to have a goal in mind for December. Like, what is my goal? Personally, my goal for this specific December was just about exploring. Like, this December for me was about just going on an adventure. I've just been feeling like very adventurous and very driven to like try out new things. And so for me, this December has been about adventure. And this December for me has been about love, being around my loved ones, exploring with my loved ones, catching up with my loved ones. And it's been about being around my loved ones and just nurturing those connections and fostering those connections with my loved ones. And that has been my goal for December. And so, whatever it is, you also need to make that mental goal. If it helps you to write it down, rather write it down so that it reminds you. And then, secondly, it's also reflecting on what are my limits and boundaries for December. Do I have alcohol limits? What are my limits when it comes to alcohol? Do I have limits, or is it like no mayini? It's whatever. Do I understand that, okay, my limits are 2 glasses of wine and then that's where I stop? Are my limits no alcohol at all? I'm trying to be sober this December. Or are my limits, it's whatever, and I'll find myself in the street, which is quite dangerous for you? So it's like, what are my limits when it comes to alcohol? And you setting up these limits will help you not to get swayed by friends or by people around you when you're seeing other people drinking and you just continue, because you've already set up a limit for yourself that this is where I'm stopping. What kind of friends do I want to be around this December? Because like sometimes like there are friends that you ignore for the rest of the year because for all these months, because you know that they're not good for you, they're not good for your soul, they don't embrace the person that you are and the new person that you're becoming. But it's like in December, suddenly you don't have boundaries. Suddenly you're around everyone and everywhere. Do I understand the implications of having those friends around me and how they could influence the energies that I start to attract by being around them? And also just them not honoring my boundaries and just who I am. So, what kind of friends do I want to be around? And why? Who am I when I'm around those friends, like those specific people? And then if it's not what it is that you want, then it should be removed. What kind of friends do I want to be around? And I also need to be intentional. I need to be intentional about those friends that are around. Family. Who triggers me? What kind of conversations trigger me when it comes to family? Because the thing about working on yourself is like when you go back to your family most of the time has this idea of who you are that they've compartmentalized and put in a box. And so if you're a person that's really looking at their growth, this for them, they could never they can't comprehend you changing. And so there are certain conversations that will start to trigger you. So are you aware of what your triggers are when it comes to family? What kind of conversations will trigger you? How do I maintain my boundaries? And how do I prevent myself from being triggered? Do I know when I reach my limit when it comes to arguing and it's time for me to cool off and just leave? So it's like that sort of thing. Like, what are my boundaries when it comes to family? There's a specific cousin that I know that when I have a conversation with them, it just never ends well. And so this December, I'm not personalizing anything that they say. Anything, it could be anything. What are my limits when it comes to my finances? What are my financial limits? Do I understand how much I'm planning to spend this December? And am I sticking to that? Do I have a budget that's going to allow me to have a comfortable December, but also have a comfortable January, to be able to have money to go to work? And also not eat cabbage in January, but to have a comfortable January. So what are my financial limits? What are my do I have safety and precaution measures in place for this December? Because it's a very dark time of the year. And I think that we glamorize it so much and we focus so much on the fun and the alcohol. It's such a reckless time of the year. What are my precautions, especially for women, especially for children? What are my precautions for this December? Setting these boundaries and setting these intentions help to become your guiding light and help you to have full fun that's not going to compromise your morals, your values, fun that's not going to compromise your boundaries, because it's so important for us to honor our boundaries, because shame is such a horrible feeling, and you don't want to live your January broke, full of shame, having made the worst decisions and starting over when it comes to your spiritual growth just because of what, a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. These intentions are also important, especially in a time in South Africa where like people are just reckless. The accidents rates are higher, alcohol consumption is higher. It's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know how many accidents I've seen on the highway. So this one time I was driving down the highway and I saw these people like putting their feet out of the window while the car is like in full speed. You could see that they're drunk. Is it worth it? Just because of December? Like, is it really worth it? And like, I'm not trying to be a party pooper, but we're really just trying to be realistic when it comes to this. Like, what is your aim? Getting drunk until you don't know your name? Is it really worth it? Is it worth your dignity? Is it worth how people will look at you afterwards? And with girls, like partying all night with no protection from any males, trusted males that you know, going from one place to the next, like 4 locations in one night. Is it worth it? So I think for me, like this reflection was really around having a balance between having fun while also facing reality. I will still be going out. I will still be having my lunches. Like on my side, like I've got like a whole itinerary planned out. Um, I'm grateful to be able to have the opportunity where I'm able to do that, right? Being able to travel, to go to concerts, to, you know, go to all these different provinces. Like I'm really excited about that. Um, but at the same time, like I'm also realistic of the country that we're living in and just how unsafe this country is. And the fact that like December, as much as everyone has got their guard down, it's the one time where criminals have got their guards up and they're watching us. So we also need to be careful. And so I will close off this podcast with Jackie Phamotse's Instagram post. So she posted something on Instagram, which I really loved. And I just thought that I would close this episode with. And she said that, my dearest, I know how much you've been looking forward to December and the festive season. We all deserve a break and some joy. However, I want to remind you to prioritize your safety and well being. With all the parties, travel, celebrations, it's easy to let your guard down. But please be mindful of your surroundings and the people you're with. Unfortunately, there are those who want to take advantage of your kindness and trust. Remember to watch your drinks and never leave them unattended. Avoid getting into unfamiliar places, especially at night. Be cautious when traveling to new provinces and meeting new people. Keep your loved ones informed about your whereabouts and check in regularly. Your body and safety are your top priority. Don't be naive or feel pressured into situations that make you uncomfortable. Remember, nothing is free in this world, and it's essential to be responsible and aware. I want you to have a wonderful time this festive season, but please do so safely and responsibly. You deserve to enjoy yourself without compromising your well being. With all my love and concern, JP. And that is Jackie Phamotse. And every word, I related to it so much that I wanted to end off this podcast with it. So thank you so much for listening. That is the end. Thank you so much for listening. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. And please also do go to my podcast on Spotify to follow and subscribe to the page. As I mentioned, that this will be the last episode, and then I'll just be taking like a 3 week break, and then we'll be back on the 2nd or 3rd week of January. So from me, I hope you have a wonderful festive season. I hope you enjoy responsibly, and I will see you on my next episode. Bye bye.